Ladies and gentlemen, a long time ago, the very earliest settlers of this area chose to make their homes on a rocky hill in the Attic Plain, 156 meters high from ground level, not far from the sea. This rocky hill was to become the first city, the polis in Greek. The polis became the palace, the religious center, the citadel. It became a small city, and today it is a worldwide known archaeological site. For thousands of years, Athens developed step by step and around the same fixed center, the highest part of the town, in Greek, the akron of the polis, the Acropolis. Although we take this for granted as a self-evident fact, in reality, this development depends on the age-old selection of a site made by the first permanent settlers and kept unchanged by all future generations. Today, the Acropolis forms the focal point of Athens, and we always use the akron of the polis for orientation. The reference to monuments for orientation occurs all over Greece, since a major part of our built environment are the monuments, prehistoric, classical, Byzantine, neoclassical, but also contemporary. 30 years ago, the Acropolis Restoration Service and the Acropolis effort decided to create an education department for the Athenian Acropolis based on the belief that, first, an intimate knowledge of the art and history of the Acropolis monuments and a familiarity with the essence of classical archaeology should be the prerogative of all people today and not that of a select circle of experts. Second, an understanding and appreciation of the Athenian Acropolis is part of the curriculum in the majority of schools worldwide and forms, of course, a substantial part of the history taught in schools throughout Greece. And also, the first step towards ensuring the respect and continuing conservation of a monument is through education that should begin at an earlier age. These principles constitute the framework within which the Department of Information and Education of the Acropolis Restoration Service, in collaboration with the effort of the Antiquities of Athens and the Acropolis Museum, seeks to effect positive changes in educational practices. At the same time, and in keeping with modern international practice, we aim to inform the citizens about important public enterprises, as are the restoration works. The aim of the department was from the beginning to provide people of different levels of education with the opportunity to enhance their understanding of classical civilization. Our activities address to everybody, to schools, to families, to a higher or lower education visitor. And all the services of the department are provided free of charge. I must tell you here that I was forced to retire 6 years ago. And I am working now in the department as a volunteer as much as I can. One of the basic tasks we have established as the Education Department of an archaeological site is a yearly open day program that engages all the personnel of the site as well as the visitors. On the Acropolis, the emphasis of this program is on the archaeological and architectural analysis of the ancient buildings, the construction methods, the analysis of the damage caused to the monuments over the 2,500 years of their life, as well as to today's conservation and restoration methodologies. The archaeological site is organized so as to present visitors with a full perspective of all these subjects through visual, auditory, and tactile experiences. The personnel, as well as trained volunteer students, are stationed around the site, with each responsible for presenting a different component of the works. These presentations are coordinated to ensure participants obtain a full description of the temples and their restoration. I will show you some workshops. You see here people chiseling marble, watching conservation methods, looking at specialized machinery, and learning about the restoration projects. Educational programs and workshops for school groups as well as for families are designed and conducted according to the age and knowledge of the pupils to whom they are addressed on the Acropolis, but also inside the Acropolis Museum. Their subjects vary and new programs are designed every year. I will show you also some workshops. You see here people creating temples with paper crafts and nails, as well as with Lego. From the very beginning, we have worked very hard to create educational resources. I have brought some of the resources here you can have a look at the end. They comprise books, museum trails, museum kits, family backpacks, films, online applications. I will shortly describe the most composite of them, our loan material, the museum kits, which are addressed to teachers, and secondly, the backpacks addressed to families. They contain a diverse range of carefully designed materials that can be activated through the personal way of each teacher in the case of kits, and each family in the case of backpacks. The museum kits comprise a composite teaching material that is lent to schools free of charge. They include books, digital visual materials, games, films, models, and copies of ancient objects, which as a whole provide a specifically designed educational material for alternative teaching for use either in the classroom but also in some other place of cultural reference. They comprise several subjects. Although the topics are separate, they can form an assemblage through which the culture of ancient Greece can be approached in a different way. So, the picture of a brilliant ancient sanctuary, this is the museum kit, let's go to the Acropolis, where the gods are worshipped. And this is the museum kit, the 12 Olympian gods, in splendid temples. And this is the kit, a Greek temple, made of marble, the kit, the art of stone sculpture, decorated by sculptures of unique artistic quality. And here you see the Parthenon frieze kit. Brings the sanctuaries to life before the eyes of the pupils. Worshipper dressed in beautiful clothes with the kit ancient Greek dress, participated in festivals with music everywhere, and you see the ancient Greek musical instruments kit. In this way, children can approach the world of antiquity with pleasure, their intellect, imagination, and creativity activated. Concurrently, they can approach the contemporary extensive research program and major technical project carried out on the Acropolis with the kit Restoring the Athenian Acropolis. During the 2001 to 2007 period, a program for the reproduction of many copies in both Greek and English of 4 of the department's museum kits was implemented with the support of sponsors. Approximately 1,500 kits were donated to schools and educational institutions in Greece and abroad. The family backpacks provide special leaflets and games which encourage the family to work together touring the Acropolis Museum in search of several exhibits that altogether create the content of a specific subject. Thus, we can see the whole museum with the help of the backpack in search of Goddess Athena, the Archaic Gallery through the Archaic Colors backpack, and the Parthenon Gallery through the sculptures of the Parthenon backpack. The experience of visiting the site cannot be replaced by any digital means, but their use can complement and enhance it. Thus, a number of digital internet applications have been designed in Greek and in English for educators, pupils, and the general public. All our services in detail and all the information can be found in our website. This is the website in the Acropolis Restoration Service, and this is specifically for education, and this is in the site of the Acropolis Museum. The virtual tour of the Acropolis, designed by ISMA's Documentation Service Office, allows the interactive exploration of the archaeological site and virtual walks inside and around the monuments. The application, the Parthenon frieze, helps the pupils explore the frieze. The application, Athena, Goddess of the Acropolis, provides a virtual tour of the museum following a light beam and acquaints the user with the wonderful images of the goddess inside the museum. The digital game Color the Peploforos helps the children using a rich variety of colors to provide interesting ancient statues. And the Glavka project has as a subject the restoration. All the above have been incorporated in an online electronic repository system developed with the National Documentation Center. It integrates the department's educational content in a fully organized environment compatible with international standards. The user has free access to all the digitized material, navigable by group, monument, topic, school subject, and educational level. The repository is a particularly useful tool for teachers to better prepare lessons in class, as well as class visits to the archaeological site and the Acropolis Museum. The effectiveness of the repository lies in its capacity for continuous updating of its material and the addition of relevant school projects. The collaboration of the department with educators is enhanced by the special seminars held regularly at the Acropolis Museum, but also throughout Greece. The seminars present the department resources, how to integrate the material into the curriculum, and its effective use in the organization of an independent school visit. In addition, projects that have already been implemented by school groups in collaboration with the department are also presented. To assist educators conducting a lesson on the Acropolis or organizing a school visit, the department regularly publishes online lesson plans on various topics. Each plan includes material that can be used to approach the subject and indicative guidelines organized in 3 stages: before the visit, during the visit, and after the visit. The educator can follow the lesson plan as such or use it as a base to create his own one. The online exploration leaflets for students are intended to enhance the treatment of the subject and can be used in any of the 3 stages where the educator deems they will be most useful to their lesson. The department holds symposia told educators and programs about the Acropolis and has published their proceedings in this book, which I have with me, Education in the Athenian Acropolis. It's 192 pages. It constitutes a guide for teachers to carry out educational programs about the Acropolis and, in general, the classical antiquity. It presents 36 programs, 120 workshops, 25 publications, and 80 projects made by school teachers. It has 2 parts. In the first, you see the activities of the departments are described as they were developed over the past 25 years in an effort to make knowledge about life and art of antiquity more compelling and comprehensible to school children and to educators. Described and analyzed are educational programs that are organized for school groups. You can see here a program about the Parthenon, very analyzed. Everyone can just copy what they want. It has many workshops. Building temples, archaic Kore statue. The educational resources, printed and digital, that have been published are the ones you can see here. The next one, excuse me. And here you can see the one on a kit. Also, seminars, special symposia for educators. The chapters have been presented so as to make it easy for the reader to find and use the program or educational material that interests him. The activities presented in the first part of the book, What We Have Done, constitute the one side of the museum's collaboration. Presented in the second part of the book are a select number of chosen projects that were carried out by educators and pupils of various schools in Greece, with which we have collaborated since 1991. These reports of the educators present the way in which they used and incorporated into their teaching the experiences and knowledge that they gained from participating in the department's activities. This is a very significant aggregate of reaching ideas teachers' projects that have been already applied by educators of all grades and all specializations. In the course of studying them, it was decided that their publication would be easier for the reader to comprehend if they were arranged by subject, here in the first level on the basis of where they took place. This is in school, applications at school. And you can see here a program of a nursery school about the frieze and one of ninth graders about the sacred rock. Also, applications at special schools. You can see one here, at libraries, at other monuments and museums. You can see one in Thessaloniki and one in Cyprus. In the second level, they were arranged on the basis of the teaching unit in which they were carried out through the lessons of history, applied art, language, natural sciences, etc. Of course, since most of the applications can be entered in many categories, the classification is not absolute, and it was finally determined according to the subject that was predominant in each project. Every one of these programs, in any one, the way in which the educator approached the Acropolis and its monuments is made clear, always depending on his specialty, his class, and the specific aim he had set. Thus, the educator who is interested can study many different programs that incorporate ideas, methods, and applications created by colleagues with the same background, the same possibilities, and the same goals. I must tell you that we pursue a holistic approach to the thematic units we have worked with. This is, for every different subject, most times there has been an educational program, both in the Acropolis and inside the museum, a trail, a booklet, a museum kit, a backpack, and a digital application. Of course, there are several variations on all these different approaches to the specific subject, and each new approach enriches the project. I will describe two thematic units with which we have worked through the years to acquaint you with what we call the holistic approach to the specific topic. We start with the Acropolis monuments and the restoration, of course. We started with a big program, A Day on the Acropolis. We do it every 2 years, and approximately 600 pupils participate. Several programs for one class take place every year during school holidays as well as on specific days, the International Monuments Day, the European Heritage Days, etc. Through the years, many trails, booklets, small and big, as well as museum kits have been created to support this thematic unit, which definitely is the biggest of our department. We have printed 2 trails for pupils, the exploration map of the Acropolis for children, specifically created to make it more accessible to children from 9 to 11, and the 10 questions of the Acropolis about the restoration that gives answers to the 10 questions more frequently asked by students and the general public. 4 museum kits have been created to support this thematic unit. The Let's Go to the Acropolis. You see here how it works. The Ancient Greek Temple with its detailed book. The Art of Stone Sculpture that helps pupils experiment with chiseling stone. And the specially made kit, Restoring the Athenian Acropolis, that has 10 educational pamphlets divided in 2 groups. In the first group, we have the theoretical subjects, the types of restoration, problems of the monuments and the reasons for intervention, the principles of the works of restoration on the Acropolis and the method. And in the second is what is carried out in each individual monument: the Parthenon, the Propylaea, the Erechtheion, the Temple of Athena Nike, the rock, the walls, and the environment. A special pamphlet is dedicated to proposals for the educators and how to use it in an interthematic way of teaching, and it provides a theme to be developed in many lessons of the school curriculum, and it can be incorporated in the teaching material of different grades. The kit also includes a film which is very important since the pupils can listen to the people who are carrying out the work, talk about what they are doing, and they can also see details of the work being done, which they would not be able to see otherwise. The next project was the online publication, which is the Glavka project. In this multi-level online game, the students from 12 years and up, the leading role belongs to Glavka, a flying robot owl, our mascot also for the trails. The aim of the application is to acquaint students with the restoration program, which is presented in 5 modules. The journey, damage and reasons for intervention, the help, types of interventions, the crew, the people undertaking the restoration work, action, restoration on the monuments, the future, and in the future, instruments and new technologies used. Each module includes preparation, what you have seen, and the test, which is a game. The application is completed with Learn More, which includes Glavka's library for those interested in further information. The next thematic unit that I will show you here, and which we have worked through the years, is the Parthenon, its sculptures, and very especially the Parthenon frieze, the continuous relief depiction running along the top part of the main temple within the outer colonnade. Its subject was the procession to the Acropolis that took place during the Great Panathenea, the festival held in honor of goddess Athena. A big program a day with the Parthenon frieze was organized with 8 workshops, where we can use all 8 museum kits. Programs for one class are carried out on the Acropolis and inside the museum. Booklets have been created, namely, a day with the Parthenon frieze, the photographic reconstruction of the frieze. This is the most difficultly and probably the most important resource we have produced, the book Parthenon Promenades and the booklet The Parthenon Sculpture. All have been incorporated into the museum kit that also contains 1:20 scaled plastic molds of the frieze. The pupils can play, make their own casts, paint them, and get acquainted with this wonderful sculptural ensemble from the classical period. The next project was the online application, parthenonfrieze.gr. The application is addressed to scholars and the general public, as well as pupils, through its online games. And it has 3 sections. The first, entitled Parthenon, texts and audiovisual material about the architecture and sculptural decoration of the Parthenon. The second is entitled Learn About the Frieze, and you can get to know the frieze block by block or through themed walks. And the third level is entitled Play with the Frieze, and it is aimed at students, and essentially it's a digitized version of the museum kit, enriching its contents with memory games, coloring online, and conservation of the frieze. The next project was the family backpack, the Parthenon sculpture. It is based on a kid's map of the Parthenon gallery with a proposed route for their visit. Kids look for a specific exhibit in 10 chosen spots so that they can stick the relevant sticker onto their maps. 4 colored pouches with games and surprises for kids enrich their itinerary. A booklet and a puzzle help the children explore the wonderful Parthenon sculpture. Ladies and gentlemen, the Athenian Acropolis represents an architectural, artistic, and cultural prototype for Western civilization. The Education Department feels that it is necessary to find ways to activate what is surely a huge educational potential. Our goal is to make the Acropolis render the maximum in educational processes and programs that can have a general application to the methods of learning about humanity through the brilliant spectrum of the classical world. Thank you.